sincerity, your ability to take criticism, your ability for someone to come up to you and say you're wrong and you say you're right, in the spirit of tawasi bil haqq, because that is a gift someone has given you. How many times do we think when someone comes to us and gives us serious, genuine counsel that they are actually giving us a gift? Most of us look at it as an attack on our ego, right? We look at, how dare you? Who are you? Who are you? Where did you get your ijazah that you can tell me what to do? Who made you shaykh? Right? Since when are you the imam? Right? These are the kinds of questions you might get. Who do you think you are? This is the kind of thing you might get. But what's your attitude when you're corrected? You take the best of it. Leave the bad of it. Don't assume this guy's doing it to insult me or humiliate me. Whatever their intention is with Allah, you don't have to judge their intention. You leave that alone. You just take the good of it. This is part of the spirit of tawasi bil haqq. InshaAllah ta'ala, in our next session we'll also talk about the meanings of the word haqq, but I'll just go run through my notes at least that part is done, and we can finish up a detailed discussion of the last ayah in our next session. So in terms of this last ayah, the summary of Ash-Shawkani rahimahullah is أي جمعوا بين الإيمان بالله والعمل الصالح فإنهم في ربح لا في خسر. That these people gathered and they combined between iman and good action. And this is something that comes up in tafsir over and over and over and over again. Iman and action are necessary consequences of each other. If you do good deeds, your iman will increase. And if you have iman, there's no way you can have it without doing good deeds. What kind of iman is this? That you have it and it doesn't lead you to any action. That's impossible. And there's no good action that doesn't end up increasing your iman. Okay, so they have this mutual relationship. So when they develop this, فَإِنَّهُمْ فِي رِبْحٍ, then they are definitely in profit and not in any kind of loss. When they are able to make that connection between iman and action. Unfortunately, a lot of Muslims believe their iman, rather their Islam, is good enough. They're set for paradise because they already said La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Without getting into any theological, historical debates about which group said this, about iman and amal, which group said that, without getting into any of that, just from a psychological point of view, people have that as an escape, just like Christians have the escape. I already said the name of the Lord, I already pronounced, I said I love Jesus, now I could be a drug dealer for all I care, it's all good. I'm already saved. We have the same exact mentality seeped into the Muslim community when somebody says, I'm already Muslim. Yeah, I'm messed up, I do a lot of haram things, but come on. I already got my ticket right here. I already said La ilaha illallah. I already said Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's good enough. I should be alright because my iman is there. This surah makes it clear. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, not enough. وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. When you fulfill all four, then you're saved. Until then, you're not saved. And what it also teaches is, if you think you have iman and none of this is happening, then you probably don't have iman. Chances are you think you have iman, but you don't. So the Bedouins thought they had iman. قَالَتِ الْأَعْرَابُ آمَنَّا. In Surah Al-Hujurat, they said, we have iman. Allah said, قُلْ لَمْ تُؤْمِنُوا. No, you didn't get iman yet. وَلَكِنْ قُلُوا أَسْلَمْنَا. You only have Islam. وَلَمَّا يَدْخُلِ الْإِيمَانُ فِي قُلُوبِكُمْ. Iman hasn't entered your hearts yet. And what is the proof that iman hasn't entered your hearts yet? وَإِن تُطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ. If you obey Allah and His Messenger, doesn't action get mentioned? Allah says you don't have iman, you only have Islam. And iman hasn't come into your heart. What should you do to get it into your heart? Obey Allah and His Messenger. Do action. لَا يَلِدْكُم مِّنْ أَعْمَالِكُمْ شَيْئًا. None of your deeds will be wasted away. SubhanAllah. These are the combination of these two things. A couple of notes left, inshallah. In the next 5 minutes we'll be done. I'll just read through them quickly. As Zamakhshari comments, when it comes to tawasaw bil haqq, in the explaining al-haqq, he says tawheed includes tawheed, includes obedience to Allah and His Messenger. It includes being distanced from worldly ambition and inclination towards the hereafter. Ash-Shawkani, when he talks about tawasi bil haqq, he says, وَصَّى بَعْضُهُمْ بَعْضًا بِالْحَقِّ الَّذِي يَحِقُّ الْقِيَامِ بِهِ. They enjoin to each other, exhort each other, advise each other with the truth that deserves to be established. Meaning they give each other advice that should be implemented. Qatada says, بِالْحَقِّ أي بِالْقُرْآنِ. Beautiful. Qatada rahimahullah says, when they give each other the best counsel to the truth, the word truth, he says the truth here means the Qur'an. They give each other ayat of Qur'an full of love and affection and concern for the other. So we remind each other through the ayat of Allah. May Allah include this gathering in that. And then أي بالقرآن وقيل بالتوحيد, and it's also said they remind each other with tawheed. والحمل على العموم الأولى. And most people understand it to the first meaning any good, any truth that deserves to be established and to be lived by. Ibn Kathir rahimahullah says, الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا بِقُلُوبِهِمْ, those who truly believed with their hearts, وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ بِجَوَارِحِهِمْ, and they did good deeds with all of their limbs, meaning once their heart was submitted, their entire body submitted by good deeds. وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَهُوَ أَدَاءُ الطَّاعَاتِ, and they enjoined and exhorted each other to the truth, and this is giving of and executing all the acts of obedience. وَتَرْكُ الْمُحَرَّمَاتِ, and to abandon all the things that are haram. وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ أي على المصائب والأقدار, and they exhorted each other to perseverance, meaning against all kinds of calamities and all kinds of situations that they find themselves in. وَأَذَّى مَنْ يُؤْذِي مِمَّنْ يَأْمُرُونَهُ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَوْنَهُ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ, and this is, they held perseverely and they held on to their commitment and their zeal, the sabr, whenever they were tortured because of them commanding to good and forbidding from evil. In other words, when you command to good and forbid evil, then you will face consequences. You will get in trouble. You might even get tortured. And at that point, you tell each other, stay on it and remain with sabr, remain sabirun. يعتبر التواصي بالحق من الخاص بعد العام. Others say that tawasi bil-haq is, and this is by the way Shinqiti rahimahullah, it is understood as a special act after the general was mentioned. What he means by that is amilu salihat, they do good things. And telling each other about the truth is a good thing. So why mention good things and then mention one of them? This is al-khas ba'd al-am. This is a special good deed after the general, the one of which is of most importance, or the one easiest forgotten. This came up before. That's what he's mentioning. لِأَنَّهُ دَاخِلْ فِي عَمَلِ الصَّالِحَاتِ, because it is included in the good deeds. عَلَى مَا يَبْلُ اللَّهُ بِهِ عِبَادَهُ عَنِ الْمَعَاصِي. The Makhshari comments in Tawasi bil-Sabr, this is sabr over whatever Allah tests His slave with, and also sabr and not falling into temptation, in disobedience. In other words, the believer will be put into times of temptation. He'll be seduced into getting into things. His greed might take over him. His temptation might take over him. And at that point, he has to have sabr to not fall into those things. May Allah protect us from falling into disobedience. And then finally on the sequence, وَجَعَلَ التَّوَاصِي بِالصَّبْرِ قَرِينًا لِلتَّوَاصِي بِالْحَقِّ دَلِيلٌ عَلَى عَظِيمِ قَدْرِهِ. Allah puts sabr at the end and haqq first as an evidence of the power of enjoining the truth, that it's more powerful and more important. وَفَخَامَةِ شَرْفِهِ rather, and the weight of its nobility. وَمَزِيدُ ثَوَابِ الصَّابِرِينَ عَلَى مَا يَحِقُّ الصَّبْرَ عَلَيْهِ. This is, tawasi bil-haq, what he is saying in this ayah now, Shinqiti rahimahullah is saying, as-sabirin are those who, whenever the situation comes that demands patience, they execute it. There's one thing to encourage each other to be patient. It's another thing to be patient when it's time to be patient. We lose our patience, and when somebody says, you need to be patient right now. No, this is not the time to be patient. I know I should be, but you don't understand. This is a special case, right? Every time you need to be patient, you say, I have a special case exception, right? This is exactly what a person who doesn't have sabr does. Whenever the advice is given, they say, I know that's the advice, but I have an exceptional situation. I know I should have sabr, but not right now. This is good advice. I know it's in the Quran, but not for me, not for right now. But that's the attitude we have to get rid of. All the advice of this book is for me right now. There's never a time when it doesn't apply. And when you start thinking like that selectively, then these things become useless. This advice is useless. Because when you need it the most is when you abandon it. When does the advice to have sabr become important? When you're losing your temper, when you're tempted, when you're going to fall into disobedience. That's when it's important. When you're sitting in a gathering of good people, I should be patient. Yeah, I should be patient. That's not an accomplishment. That's not an accomplishment, you see. So this is the final thing about it. InshaAllah ta'ala, in our next session, we will take an overview look and a careful look at how these four things are connected in the Quran. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. We'll study that inshaAllah ta'ala. We'll also study the use of the ba in bil-haq and bis-sabr, the rhetorical usage of the ba. بارك الله لي ولكم في القرآن الحكيم ونفعني وإياكم بالآيات والذكر الحكيم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.